Deb,
Hi.
how are you?
Good.
So glad to have you here with us today. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk with us.
Thank you for having me.
Excited to talk about women in marketing.
Yes.
And you're a woman in marketing. What is your job title?
I am a marketing analyst here for Seapoint.
Awesome. That's very cool. Can you share a little bit with me about your journey and how you got started in the field of marketing?
Well, I guess you'd say I married into it, kind of, because I married a self-employed contractor. And with that came needing to market to help him get work. So I worked for him throughout. I mean, we've been married 27 years tomorrow.
Oh, congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was, we did lots of, back then, we're talking in the early 2000s, the internet was there, but we weren't marketing on it yet.
Right.
So it was all like direct mail and flyers and things like that.
Wow.
So that's kind of was the first step. And that has always been like a recurring thing that's been needed throughout the years.
Wow.
Because he's always worked for himself. We've also done some real estate stuff. So there's marketing in there, a lot of direct mail stuff initially. But it was a part-time thing. I always had a regular day job and just kind of did that on the side until I started here and started doing it for an actual company.
Wow, that's really cool. So you've been able to sort of grow along with the marketing world over the years.
Yeah, for sure. Because like I said, it was definitely more boots on the ground initially.
Or physical media.
More physical, for sure. And actually about 11 years ago, shortly after I had my daughter, I started working for myself. And that was more, things were online then.
Right.
So I started working as a virtual assistant.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and I was actually helping people with their social media and email marketing and things like that. So I started doing it a little more for myself, and then ended up here.
Awesome. Were there any particular challenges that you experienced either at the start of your career in marketing or since then?
I would say my biggest challenge was when I started working for myself, marketing myself. That was always my biggest challenge. I can sell other people all day long and help clients know what to do, but the actual marketing of myself to find the clients was always my biggest downfall and my biggest struggle.
I understand that completely. I think for most of us, it can be hard to sell ourselves because we're hard on ourselves.
Of course.
How have you been able to battle with those feelings?
It's actually helped since I've been here and working with other people, and a lot of the collaborations have happened here. And like, hey, people are actually like valuing my opinion, and I do bring good ideas. So, like seeing just that, and then everybody has bad ideas too, and like every idea is welcome, and nothing is shot down, and just learning to trust myself a little bit more in those environments, because I haven't really had a position before where I had that opportunity to like interact with others. It's either been me and my husband, or me, myself, and I, alone in my office as a new mom, and all the emotions and things that come with that. So, so I feel like that's been really helpful to have other people that are supportive and that value your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Professional validation is huge for confidence building. That's for sure.
For sure.
Are there any key traits or skills that you feel are important in the marketing field?
I feel like definitely having a willingness to adapt. You can't just stay in one lane forever because everything is changing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to be able to kind of see things through. So there's that balance of not hopping around too quickly. But then if you see something moving in a direction, being willing to maybe try something new, even if it's in addition to what you're currently doing, just not getting too stuck in a rut. And then, like I said before, like being willing to work with others and kind of check your ego at the door with what you think is the best way. And like, okay, what can the group come up with? and maybe that's your idea, or maybe it's not. And
not taking things too personally, it sounds like, too.
yeah, which is hard.
Yeah.
I am a person who takes things personally. So
well, we're naturally the center of our own worlds. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah, and overly self-critical. So when outsiders then validate that criticism that you have, that can be hard. So, so being with a supportive group is definitely helpful, where it's not like even the bad ideas aren't like criticized as such.
Yeah. Or a job or an idea not being the chosen one doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad idea. It's just not the right idea for the scenario.
Exactly.
Yep, that makes sense.
Or not what the client wants to do at the time.
Right. So Deb, how do you think that companies can create a more supportive and inclusive environment for women?
I think allowing women to be women and to show up as women and think as women, and also allowing space for the responsibilities that women have outside of the workplace as well. That is going to influence their thinking. Remote options is a big thing. A lot of marketing is online now. Being able to not have to clock in, clock out at certain times, especially for moms, that can be really important to allow them the flexibility to not feel they have to choose between their home life and their work life. Now, are there some fathers who are the primary caretakers of their children? Absolutely. But we can probably agree as a majority, the majority is women that are primarily responsible for bringing the kids to school and picking them up and after school stuff and helping with homework and just all of those things that are real demands on their time and the time that they can spend at work. But that doesn't mean they can't get the job done. That doesn't mean that they're not smart and that their ideas aren't needed in the industry, in any industry, really. Like, the world needs that, because again, that's who's doing all the purchasing. That's, these women are starting these companies, but being allowed the flexibility with your time and the space to not feel like you have to pick what's going to get your attention. Like, I'm a mom first. My daughter's my top priority. The fact that I'm allowed to work from home, I do come into the office, she is welcome to come with me because I homeschool. If I couldn't do that, I would not be able to do this job. If I had to choose, I'm going to choose to be home. And someday when she's out of the house, then I would have to work on that whole reestablishing yourself in the workplace, which is really hard. And it's a shame because you're missing out on some of those best years from a career standpoint, and just women have so much to contribute.
Absolutely.
You know, we have a different experience than men. And if you want to talk to women who are purchasing your stuff, you need to know what they're thinking about. And that can be hard if it's only men in the room that are making those decisions.
Absolutely.
So allowing space for that and not being made to feel like you're an inconvenience if you need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really important, because there's a lot of really, really smart women out there who maybe don't get the opportunity to, or haven't found the right place where they can showcase that in a way that fits the rest of their life.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. And to your point, women in general, but specifically mothers, if they don't have the opportunity to work, like you said, their perspectives won't be heard, and that's an important perspective.
Absolutely.
You've been able to, as a mother and a woman, do your job and be successful.
Yeah, and it's because I don't have to worry, or I don't feel like I have to choose. Like, when we come into the office, she has her schoolwork with her and she does her thing, and I don't have to worry about where she is or that she's not getting schooled on that day or all of that. I don't have to choose to like send her to school when, for us, we don't feel like that's the right choice right now for many reasons. And even at home, the same thing. It's like, I can get up and do my work at 6 o'clock in the morning before she gets going for the day, so that I can then focus some time on her. And that's okay, as long as the work is getting done and I'm there for any client facing meetings that I am expected to be on. And as long as those criteria are met, when you do the work, it doesn't really matter to anybody.
Yeah.
Which is great because not everybody thinks best between 8 and 5 o'clock.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't. So sometimes it's a Saturday afternoon or whenever I'm allowed to have some space. So it's nice that is welcome and encouraged here. Let's just do good work. We don't care when. And that's great that it can be that way.
Absolutely. So how do you envision the future of marketing, and where do you see yourself in that future?
That is a good question, of which I'm not certain. All I know is that the future of marketing is going to be different than it is today. That's pretty much all we can ever guarantee.
Can't predict the future.
It's going to be changing. I'm not going to try to guess where it's going to go. I know that what I am doing within that field right now, I am still enjoying. So it's just a matter of being willing to pivot with where it is, with where it heads. But things can change overnight.
That does speak to your point about flexibility. Whatever the future brings, if you are flexible and willing to put in the work, willing to learn new technologies and skills, you'll be able to maintain a competitive edge in the industry. Yeah, for sure. What advice would you give to young women who are interested in a career in marketing?
There's so many different avenues you can go down in the world of marketing. Like just thinking from just our agency, we've got the creative team, so the writers who like to create content. We have the graphics team. We've got the account managers, people who are more technically savvy. I'm the analyst, so I got looking at the numbers. So there's all these different avenues that you can try, and knowing your value, I feel like, is a big thing. Even if you are new in it, you've been shopping for years, probably. So, and you're on social media, you're out in the world, you know what speaks to you. And even if you're younger, those voices are needed too, because you can't reach, from a marketing perspective, you can't reach an 18-year-old girl who's just out of high school if you're a 60-year-old man. That's a lot harder to do. So the industry needs different ages and different voices and different perspectives. So why not you? Yeah, that's a great point. And just trusting that even if you're the new person in the room, that you have a different perspective. You're coming in from a different viewpoint than everybody else in the room, and that might be the shift that's needed to get better results. So yeah, knowing your value and playing to your strengths. If you know that something, I'm not a numbers person, but hey, I'm really creative, I love to write. Well, then try that. Don't try to force yourself into an area that isn't a good fit. But be curious. Be curious to try different things to see where. I never would have picked where I am. I wouldn't have guessed that at all. And I actually really enjoy it. Nice. So there's a place for everybody. There's a place for everybody, for sure. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It's great hearing your insights, and we appreciate you so much and your hard work. I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. This is great.